You are watching Access LaPorte County, Channel 97. Coming up next is the January 21st, 2025 meeting of the Michigan City Common Council. You can find more information for this meeting by visiting www.accesslaportecounty.org.
Good evening and welcome to the Michigan City Council meeting. Today is Tuesday, January 21st, 2025. If we can start, I would just like to ask if everyone would please silence all your electronic devices and please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
America and to for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If we can begin with Madam Clerk with the roll call, please.
Mr. Beatrice,
Present.
Mr. Coulter, Mr. Dabney,
Present.
Dr. Cora, Ms. Lee,
Present.
Ms. Moldenar,
Present.
Mr. Nelson,
Present.
Mr. Preselinski,
Present.
and Ms. Tillman.
Present. And I was notified by Councilman Dr. Cora and Councilman Coulter of their absence on this evening.
We have 7 present and 2 absent.
Moving along to our agenda, approval of the minutes from the regular council hybrid Zoom, January 7th, 2025. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved. Word.
We have a motion by Councilman Dabney and a second by Councilman Beatrice. All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Are there any nays? There are none. The minutes are approved. Reports of standing committees, Finance Committee meeting. The Michigan City Finance Committee meeting met on today, January 21st, 2025. The Michigan City Riverboat Boyd Claims Docket, Riverboat Fund number 2235, $225,000. Riverboat EFT 2235, $62,011. Boyd Development Fund 2504, $0. Total claims $287,011. Those funds were for the riverboat, that was the Utilities Associates of the $225,000, and the $62,011 is for Michigan City Transit. That is for a matching grant of federal and city, federal 80%, city 20%. The city transit had to portion would be the $62,011, and they have plans on purchasing new transits. Is there a motion to accept the claims?
Motion to accept. Support.
We have a motion by Mr. Beatrice and we have a second by Mr. Dabney. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Are there anyone that oppose? There are none. Motion carries. Next, we have reports from boards and commissions.
Madam President,
Yes,
yeah, I'd like to report. I was elected president of the LaPorte County Solid Waste District at our last meeting here in January. And what we are going to be doing moving forward is the mayor and I are going to look at rejuvenating recycling in Michigan City, rejuvenating recycling within the municipality itself, And we have, her name is Sasha, and if I get her last name right, DeBird. She's going to be coming over. She's the director of recycling in LaPorte County. And we are going to set up a meeting with myself, her, and the mayor. And we're going to take it from there. So I just wanted to report on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Prisbalinski. Are there any more boards and commissions at this time? There are none. Reports of special or select committees. Do we have any reports of special or select committees at this time? There are none. Moving on, reports from mayor or other city officers and departments. Any reports from mayor or other city officers and departments? There are none. Madam Clerk, are there any petitions this evening?
There are no petitions.
Madam Clerk, on communications,
In accordance with ordinance 4538, the clerk's office received an incident report from the Michigan City Park Department on January 15th regarding one of their plow trucks. Correspondence was also received on January 13th from the Indiana Department of Environmental Management regarding open burning approval issuance pursuant to 326 IAC 4-1. Correspondence was also received in the clerk's office on the 10th of January from Mayor Angie regarding approving additional appropriation in the budget of the redevelopment fund for salaries and wages of the redevelopment director and redevelopment business manager. That's it.
thank you, Madam Clerk. Councilman Dabney. Your light is on. Moving along, Madam President, Madam Clerk, on the first resolution by title only.
A resolution by title only approving submission of application for a grant from the City of Michigan City from the U.S. Department of the Transportation for the FY 2025 Raise Grant Program and supporting the local match for said grant. And this is introduced by Ms. Tillman, Mr. Dabney, Mr. Preselinski, and Ms. Lee.
Are there any comments by the sponsors? Miss
I was just seeing if anybody else had anything.
Councilman Dabney?
Yes, this is a grant that we have to have matching funds for. And as a lot of you recall, we passed an ordinance that says anytime there is some type of grant that we're applying for as a city, and there's matching funds that are going into it, it has to come through the city council for approval. And what we have going on here is we'll be requesting $1.6 million in the Raise grant funds for the Michigan Boulevard project. And the city will be required to match with $400,000 for this grant. Pretty straightforward.
Councilman Prisbalinski?
Yeah, to me, this resolution is very important. And this grant is very important because if we want to redo and renew Michigan Boulevard, we have to have a lot of money to do that. And this here is the first step in getting that done. We all know that the roadway itself, the road bed, is falling apart, and that'll cost a lot of money. So the best way to go at it is to try to get some federal grants, and this here is the first step to do that. So I am in full support of that. So just like Franklin Street is one of our main entranceways into Michigan City, Michigan Boulevard is one of our main entranceways into Michigan City. We have to make sure that both of those avenues are in tip-top shape in order to entice people to come to Michigan City. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Prisbalinski. And I also just like to add to, I agree with everything that he just said, being that the Fifth Ward, which I am over. So to see something like this come forth after all these years and to enhance Michigan Boulevard, I am also 100% in support of this. Also, just to keep in mind, so these grants are time sensitive, and this particular grant, the deadline to submit that application is January 30th of this year. And also, with this grant, there will be an opportunity again when this grant comes up again that we will be able to apply for that. So I'm very grateful for that. And I'm sure the Fifth Ward residents and the residents in Michigan City will be happy to see a new Michigan Boulevard coming forth. Are there any comments? I'll open it up for comments from the public. And before we do the comments for the public, please keep in mind that your comments are limited to 3 minutes. I do have the discretion as I'm speaking now that I can also reduce that limit in the process.
This is Tommy Kolovic from 1316 Ohio Street. RAISE, that's actually an acronym. That means Rebuilding American Infrastructure with Sustainability and Equity Grant Program. And these are actually competitive grants. I know Mayor Angie told us last year that we applied for it last year. We didn't get it. It went to Mishawaka, Fort Wayne, and Indianapolis. I know she was very disappointed with that because I know Michigan Boulevard is really important to her, and as it's important to all of us. So I just hope we end up getting this grant this year so we can finally get Michigan Boulevard reconstruction. We all know how bad it is right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kolovic. Any more comments from the public? Comments from the public? There are none. Are there any comments from the council?
Motion to approve. Support.
We have a motion by Councilman Prisbalinski and a second by Councilman Beatrice. Madam Clerk, on the vote, please.
Mr. Beatrice,
Aye.
Mr. Dabney,
Aye.
Ms. Lee, aye, Ms. Moldenauer,
Aye.
thank you, Mr. Nelson,
Aye.
Mr. Prespolinski,
Aye.
and Ms. Tillman.
Aye.
We have 7 in favor and no one opposed.
Motion carries approving the submission of the application for a grant for the City of Michigan City from the U.S. Department of Transportation for the federal fiscal year RAISE grant programs and supporting the local match and said grants. Madam Clerk, on our second resolution, please, by title only.
A resolution by title only approving the submission of applications for the 2025 Community Crossing Matching Grant Program with the Indiana Department of Transportation and supporting the local match for said grant. And this is introduced by Mr. Prespolinski, Mr. Beatrice, and Ms. Moldenauer.
Would the sponsors, any of the sponsors like to make any comments at this time?
Yeah, I would, Madam President.
Councilman Prisbalinski?
Yeah, this is the CCMG grant is very important to everybody in Michigan City because this is how we get our roadways and our sidewalks fixed and upgraded. So I would hope all my fellow colleagues on the council are going to approve this because getting these roads and sidewalks fixed in all the neighborhoods affects everybody. So yeah, I'm in full support of this.
Councilman Beatrice?
I agree with Don, the community crossing grant. This is not new. We get the community crossing and try to get it every year. It is a match, the 50-50 match, and the matching funds are budgeted as follows. 750,000 are come from the MVH restricted budget. 250,000 are Riverboat, and then River Redevelopment Commission kicks in 600,000. So it's a lot of money, but the federal government matches it. So, and we need it. We need every dime of it. I hear all the time from people who say we aren't doing enough to, and it'll get worse in the spring. We aren't doing enough to fix our streets. And we just got a copy of the 2025-1 CCMG pavement replacement project street list. So there are 36 different streets in Michigan City that are planned to benefit from this grant.
Thank you, sponsors. I'll open this up for, are there any public comments at this time?
Yeah, this is Tommy Kolovic from 1316 Ohio Street again. We're talking about the CCMG grant, and this is to rebuild sidewalks in the city. We were supposed to get sidewalks on Woodland and Paz Road between Michigan City High School and the new Little Wolves Erling Center where they're putting in the automotive technology shop. Now, that's a big complaint. We should have got that when we constructed Paz Road back in 2023 when Mayor Perry was in office. Really not, we need to do that. We're not gonna let our children, we're not gonna let our city down. So let's get those sidewalks in like we were promised. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Klavik.
Good evening, council clerks. We did get the list of sidewalks, roads to you. But I did want to give you an update. There is a House bill that is downstate. I will forward it to you. And I did have an opportunity to speak with the author, who was Jim Pressel. And it's related to roads, and specifically it's related to the wheel tax. So there's legislation downstate right now that to be eligible in the future for CCMG matching funds, you'll have to have had to pass a wheel tax. So, but there's a couple of things associated with it that are important. And he said he would participate in the workshop with us to answer any questions. But one of the things that is important, that if you pass a wheel tax, number one, but number two, based on your average PACER rating throughout the city, could assist in alleviating your restricted versus unrestricted NVH funds. So if you have an average rating that's higher, it may not be a 50-50, it could be a 40-60. That would help us with how we use the money. So that is on the books, and I think it's going to committee to be heard. So that's a bill that impacts us directly. I did give you all the information on the wheel tax and the money that it would provide to us. Just understand that this long session, local government money is on the books, and how they're going to figure out their issues by taking more money away from us. So they're putting it back on us to figure out the revenues to replace that. I've been talking with AIM on a couple of different things on how can we draft some resolutions to give to the state. I'll get those to you because I think we have to have an active voice downstate this session. I think I may be testifying next week, but it's going to be important that we watch it. I sent some stuff to you all this past week, but the CCMG this year, again, is 1.5. It's been $1 million previously. But I do have the legislation for the wheel tax, and I will be setting up a workshop for that so we can talk through that, so that we make sure that we're prepared, whatever is going to happen to us. So thank you for your support on this so that we can try to get the full amount again. I will say that the street list, if you look at it, it's throughout the city in multiple wards. The majority of all the wards have something in them. I try to cluster them as best I could with getting the ones and the twos. Now this PACER report is 2 years old, so understand those threes are probably twos or ones now. So the majority of them are twos and threes that are on there. But again, getting to them, the sooner the better, because our money's going to be tied to it in the future. So if you have any questions for me, let me know. But I will get that on the books for a workshop for the wheel tax as well.
Are there any questions by the council regarding this? Councilman Prisbalinski?
Yeah, I have a question for the mayor. So with the list that we have here, Mayor, is it starting, say, location number 1? Is that a number 1? I mean, you got,
No.
1, 2, 3?
No, that's just the order.
There you go.
No, those are just numbered. No, that's not the.
Yeah, I know this isn't the PACER list, but are these rated in the order of, how they, are they ones, or are they all ones? Are they?
No,
ones
no,
and
these aren't in order that way. I can give you that though.
Yeah, I'd like to have
Yeah,
it.
you can have. I have that.
Yeah,
I'll send it to you. I also have it in a map form, but on my wall in my office. But I can give that to you.
Yeah, just send me the ratings.
Yep, can do that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councilman Dabney?
Yeah, quick comment, and just for the public who may be watching and viewing this meeting, when these ratings come out, and then we apply for these grants, and the mayor mentioned it a little bit there. Right after winter time, there's going to be roads that'll be broken up, something fierce, and everybody will want us to go and pave those. But these have been applied for. These have already been, these streets that are going to be done now are the ones that are going to be taken care of here when it starts to get warmer. And then those streets will come later. But everybody sees the holes right after, the winter cracks them up really bad. And they want us to spend that money on those streets that were newly cracked up. But it's kind of, like trailing behind the money, so to speak, because she already had to submit the streets that are going to be done with this money coming up, and then those will get taken care of later. So that's how it works. I know it's frustrating that it happens that way, but that's the way it is. That's the way it's always been. And I hope that the public can be a little bit patient with us and, ride this out with us as these streets are taken care of. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Dabney. Is there a motion to approve on the table?
A motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Prisbalinski and second by Councilwoman Lee. Madam Clerk, on the vote, please.
Ms. Moldenauer,
Aye.
Mr. Nelson,
Aye.
Mr. Preselinski,
Aye.
Ms. Tillman,
Aye.
Mr. Beatrice,
Aye.
Mr. Dabney,
Aye.
and Ms. Lee. Aye. We have 7 in favor and no one opposed.
Thank you. That motion carries. We're moving on to our ordinances on first reading by title only. Madam Clerk?
An ordinance on first reading by title only, amending ordinance number 4741, commonly known as the 2025 salary ordinance to create the position of arborist apprentice. And this is introduced by Dr. Cora.
Dr. Cora is not here at this time, but if you would please state your name and your department.
I'm Mike Wolf. I'm the city forester. And I told Dr. Cora that I'd step in for him. Fortunately, Nancy, she's at home sick, but this ordinance is important for the forestry department, the city forester. The arborist apprentice is a 3-year program, and her position is totally paid by our grant. So, but I'm willing to answer any questions you guys may have on that.
Are there any questions by the council? Councilman Don Prisbalinski?
Yeah, under this position, does he get paid, or whoever it is, do they get health benefits
Yes, sir.
and pension payments towards that?
The arborist apprentice will be a temporary full-time employee for 3 years. So she will receive, benefits.
Okay.
Are there any other questions or comments for Mr. Wolf? Ms. Lee?
I think this is a wonderful opportunity, so thank you for taking care of this and getting this in front of us.
Thank you.
I'd like to open this up for public comment.
No, me.
Oh, I'm sorry. Councilwoman Moldenauer, if you would like to speak.
Thank you, President Tillman.
We can't hear you. You got muted.
I am very much in favor of this, and what this person is going to do is to help our forester with the inventory and the management of the grant. As you can imagine, a $1 million grant is quite a lot to do. So we do need this additional person to be able to carry out the aims and objectives of the grant as it was written. Also, I'm asking to please be added as a sponsor on this. Thank you.
Madam Clerk, if you would please add Councilwoman Moldenauer as a sponsor. Greatly appreciate that. Are there any other comments from the public?
Hello, Council. Scott Melland, 200 Kendall Place. I'm also in favor of it, of course, but Councilmember Prisbalinski brought up a good point. Although she's being the apprentice, the person's already been hired apparently, is being paid from grants. Does the grant also pay the benefits and
Yes.
insurance? Because often we found like TIF funds can be used only for TIFs, but the interest earned on the TIF funds can be used for other stuff. So it's just one of those things. And then after we train the person for 3 years, what are the hopes of holding on to them? It'd be nice to know. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mike Wolf, City Forester. The 3-year program, it is a 3-year program, requires the arborist apprentice has been chosen. Her name's Bea. And Bea will be in the program. She'll be trained for 3 years, about 2,000 hours a year. Is that 20,000 full time? She'll be 2,000. She'll be trained for 3 years full time. That's the minimum requirement needed to apply for taking the arborist exam. So my job is to train her for 3 years, get her ready to take the exam. After she passes the exam, she will also become the next leg. She will become a trainer for the next generation. And we don't have any plans for her to become a full-time employee. I would personally expect that would happen, but I don't know.
Thank you. Public comments are closed. Comments from the council? Comments from the council? Comment from the council? There are none. This will carry over to our next council meeting. Madam Clerk, on the next ordinance on first reading by title only.
An ordinance on first reading by title only, an ordinance establishing salaries for the fire department of the city of Michigan City for the calendar year 2025. And this is introduced by Mr. Dabney, Ms. Tillman, and Mr. President.
Do the sponsors have any comments? Councilman Dabney?
Yes, this is just the salary ordinance. After we, pass the contract for the fire department there, we have to pass a salary ordinance setting, the salaries with the state for the year. So it's just as simple as that. Once we finish our budget, we have to do a salary ordinance setting salaries with the state for the year 2025.
Thank you. No other comments by the sponsors. There are none. I'll open this up for public comment. Are there any public comment? Any public comment? There are none. Closing public comments. Comments by the council? Comments by the council? Comment by the council? There are none. Comments are closed. This will be carried over to the next council meeting. Ordinance on first reading by title only. Madam Clerk, if you would, please.
An ordinance on first reading by title only, amending ordinance number 4741, commonly known as the 2025 salary ordinance, to create the position of permit specialist and building superintendent in the Michigan City Planning and Inspection Department. And this is introduced by Mr. Beatrice, Ms. Tillman, and Mr. Dabney.
Thank you. And we have Madam Mayor that will speak on this.
Good evening again. So we are restructuring the planning department and we've been having department meetings with them every 2 weeks now, talking about the structure, gaps and things that we're missing. These two positions, the first one, the permit specialist position the job descriptions have already been approved at the Board of Works, But that person is kind of the catch-all person in the department that will be responsible, kind of like the gatekeeper for inspections for building inspections for permits, the software. We're working through that process and getting that up and running and completed. But that permit specialist is kind of like the dispatcher, because you see that we have a building superintendent. The model that we're going to, I've reached out to all of the unions and they're helping me identify newly retired or retirees to help work part-time as inspectors for us. So versus having one building commissioner, this building superintendent will be responsible for the permit tech and responsible for the building commissioner that we have and all of these part-time people. This person will be responsible for removing the bottlenecks, making sure permits are getting done, kind of that there's no glue. And just to be honest, everybody's been kind of doing their own thing. And it's been going on for several years. We all know that. This is a pain point that we've had and I've had. So we need to provide some structure. So the building superintendent will manage that group of people. We've already started moving and building offices out. Code enforcement is moving downstairs, separate from them. But the goal is really to have a staff of qualified people to go out and not be bottlenecked waiting on one person to do their permit. So having a couple of HVAC and plumbing inspectors working part-time for us is efficient because they don't need benefits. We know the benefits cost us about $21,000 per person. So having, I reworked the budget to figure out, what can we sustain with the money that we already have? And that's how we came up to this framework of identifying part-time, qualified, certified people to go out to these inspections. But in order to do that, I would need to get these positions approved to move forward in posting those jobs too as well. But that's pretty much the gist of it. Reorganizing the department to be more efficient versus what we have. Just like today, we talked about it. And I'm like, what are you behind on? Just asking those same questions. But we meet every 2 weeks now. So don't get tired of me here soon. But we're working on it. I want the public to know that we hear them and that we understand the pain points and just understand that permits are a revenue source for us. If we're not getting them done, they're just sitting in a pile, So I think it's important that we get this done, but I'll answer any questions.
Are there any questions from the council for the mayor?
I don't really have a question. I after our last meeting, I said I was very much in favor of this. This is really a companion ordinance to the next ordinance we'll talk about. But the point I think that we need to make sure that the public understands is that the salaries for these two new positions have already been appropriated. They're already in the budget. And the two people that normally would have been paid that money is going to be paid by a different fund that is
That's correct.
that's creative and inventive, and I give you all the credit for that.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman Prisbalinski?
Yeah, just one comment, and I'm in total support of this ordinance, is that change was needed, change is being made, let's move forward. That's it, plain and simple. We all know what the issues were, and the mayor took the bull by the horns and made the changes, so.
Yeah.
Okay. If there are no more comments from the council, I'll open this up for public comments. Are there any public comments?
Hello, Council, Scott Mellon, 200 Kenwood Place. This is a great sounding plan. I only hope it works as well as it sounds, and I have full faith that it does. Hiring part-time retired union members or trade members is a brilliant idea to be part of our inspection crew or our permitting crew. So yeah, I fully support this. It is welcome news. It sounds like, it does sound like a great plan. A lot of thoughts gone into it. Nothing against the current group of people we have. They're good-hearted people that are, I think, trying their best. But I've questioned who has the skills to inspect the systems in a high rise, this seems to address in a very smart way. So I really support it, and thank Mr. Beatree for pointing out how it's funded, that these are funded positions. I think that's important for the people to know. So good work all, including our fine mayor on the plan. Thank
Thank you,
you.
Ms. Miller. Last call for public comment. If there are none, public comments are closed. Council comments? Are there any council comments? Council comments, there are none. This will carry over to our next council meeting. Madam Clerk, on first reading by title only.
An ordinance on first reading by title only, approving additional appropriation in the budget of the redevelopment fund for salaries and wages of the redevelopment director and the redevelopment business manager. And this is introduced by Mr. Beatree, Ms. Tillman, and Mr. Dabney.
And once again, this will be addressed by Madam Mayor.
Yes, as I stated before, so with the TIF money, it's interesting that for all these years, we budget stuff for redevelopment and we talk about what TIF can't, how it can't be used. And I said, well, we got to find something because I need to split the department out. And so over the years, we receive, I think last year, about $400,000 in interest from the TIF funds. Now, going back years and years ago, it was way higher than that as interest rates, and we have more money in there. But this is a creative way to fund positions, because right now, our city budget has been funding a joint redevelopment planning director, an admin, but we've been funding it. And I'm like, we have TIF dollars for a reason. And so these are the non-TIF funds that are the interest funds to fund these positions. And hopefully the goal is that anything dealing with redevelopment, that eventually all of it will come from here. We've been funding these type of positions through CEDAT, through our local economic development income tax money. And my goal eventually, as we might see some declines in funding through the state, is that they're fully funded, this way. So this is the first step in getting there and making sure that we're still growing, but we're handling our business on the planning and board of work, on the board of zoning, and those, by separating those two out. I think it's time because I think people get overwhelmed with too many things, and I think what that does, you don't do any one job well. You're trying to just kind of tread water. And I think this is the best way to split the department out. This is an experiment. Don't get me wrong. This new structure is new. We'll see how it goes for the next year, and if it doesn't work the way we want it to work, we'll, after about 18 months, we'll make a change. That's what you do. You try to figure out and get the kinks out, and then come back to the drawing board and figure out how to tweak it to make it better. But these are the two positions that we want to fund. Plus, some of their expenses are included in this money as well.
Are there any comments by the council? Councilman Beatree?
Of course, I'm in favor of this. This is another creative solution to a problem that we've had for years and years. It's almost like the Homer Simpson duh thing. If we'd only known that these monies were available for years and years, we could have funded this and saved the money. But going back to the interest money last year, it was $440,969.59. To fund the two positions you're talking about here is $263,121.50. So that leaves a balance of $177,848.09
Just from last year's.
just from
interest.
last year. That's in now the redevelopment bank. So this makes total sense. I think that your idea of continuing to fund through the interest from TIF is probably sound, and I think we're probably safe to do that. But I think you know, and I know we got to be very careful with this,
Mhm.
and we can't just assume that we can fund tons of new positions with this money because we can't.
Well, and plus interest rates fluctuate. I mean, so this is not like a new cash cow of money or anything like that. We got to be very diligent and specific about what we do. I don't see funding any additional positions more than what we have because there is some overlap with planning in a sense that, okay, we got permits, we got this, we got that, but these positions specifically are for redevelopment and making sure, and also CDBG, because understand CDBG is a part of the redevelopment department, but CDBG is reimbursed, but it still kind of does the same thing. It's fixing homes, it's fixing things, dealing with the homelessness. And that all impacts redevelopment. So just a creative way, not, I'm not trying to break the bank on it either. So I want to be cognizant of that.
It's nice to have that balance there, discretionary, for if something comes up that you can't fund any other way, it'll be there. It's a safety valve.
Councilman Dabney?
Yeah, and immediately when I saw the ordinance came out, I mean, that was my quick response back was the amount of interest. And like the mayor said, we all know that as interest rates fluctuate, that's going to drive a lot of the balances of what's going on in there. But it was plenty of money. What we're trying to work with, and this is like you said, like Councilman Beatrice said, or Mr. Beatrice. I can't call him by his first name. This is Mr. Beatrice, as he stated. This is a very creative way of us doing things, and I'm proud to see this moving forward. So. Let's keep on moving forward.
Councilman Prisbalinski?
Yeah, I just have one request. I know that it's being financed by the interest. We all know that. But just for my own, so I can sleep good at night, I'd like to have a 5-year, average on what the interest has been in this fund. And then if you want to send it out to all the council members, just let me know.
It's not a fund. So what you're asking for specifically is you want the last 5 years of interest that was drawn on TIF.
In the TIF districts. Okay. Yep. That's what I'd like to see.
We can get that.
Yep. Send it out to all the council members so they don't have any questions.
Okay. No problem.
Thank you. If there are no more comments from the council, I'll open this up for public comment. Are there any public comments?
Hello, Council. Scott Mellon, Kennel Place. I would just point out that interest rates last year were quite elevated compared to the previous 4 years. We were in an extremely low interest rate environment for close to 15 years, ever since the Great Recession. We probably won't see such low interest rates again. So when you get the readout of the last 5 years, don't be thrown off that the previous earlier years had much lower interest per year. It'll probably be closer to what you receive in the last year, depending on the balance of the account. But we're not going to have, 1% interest rates or 0.5% interest rates, which might be represented in those previous years. So you might see some very low numbers for the earlier years of the TIF interest. Just wanted to bring that to the board's attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mellon. Last call for public comment. And there's no one online. Public comments are closed. Any comments by the council? Mr. Councilman Beatrice?
One brief comment for the question. The statement was just given. We don't have the last 3 or 5 years that Don asked for, but we do have 24 and 23. 24 I read earlier, 440,969.59. But the year before it was 369,548.17. So you're right, it was lower. but still comfortably large enough to cover the expenses that we're talking about.
Thank you, Mr. Beatrice. Last call for council comments. Council comments are closed. This will be carried over until our next council meeting. Moving along on our agenda, we are now under new business, 2025 council committee assignments. Madam Clerk,
We have the vote for 2025 voting members of the following council committee assignments. Animal Control Board, Michigan City Economic Development, Plan Commission, Public Art Committee, Social Status of African American Males, Solid Waste Management, Tree Board, and Urban Enterprise Association.
okay, so I spoke with Attorney Snow that we can do this all in one, to make a motion. And I'll need a second on these, council committee assignments. Are there any comments by the council at this time? I see your light on, Councilman Prisbalinski.
Yeah, I'm ready to make the motion to vote on all 1, 2, 3, all the committees that are listed here. So I'm making a motion to vote on them.
And all the council members did receive, to add on to his motion, all the council members did receive the assigned committee list, correct?
Yes, they do.
Okay. We have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Support.
Motion by Prisbalinski and a second by Mr. Beatrice. Madam Clerk, on the vote, please.
Mr. Nelson.
Aye.
Mr. Prisbalinski.
Aye.
Ms. Tillman.
Aye.
Mr. Beatrice.
Aye.
Mr. Dabney.
Aye.
Ms. Lee. Aye. And Ms. Moldenauer.
Aye.
We have 7 in favor and no one opposed.
And congratulations to all those city council members that have been assigned to their 2025 committee assignments. Moving along, Madam Clerk, we have the 2025 revised Common Council Board appointment expiration dates. If you would, please.
Yes, the Enrichment Corporation has a 2025 appointment expiring March 31st, 2025. Incumbent Stacy Bennings that has been added to the council expired board and commission revised list. We just wanted to advise the council of that.
Thank you.
Um,
The next one, please.
Mayor Angie is requesting the advice and consent of the Michigan City Common Council regarding her reappointment of Pastor Dennis Carroll as a member of the Michigan City Human Rights Commission, with his term beginning immediately and expiring November 20th, 2028, and a new appointment of Mr. Sel Dunlap replacing Mercedes McMullen's term that will begin immediately and expire February 2nd, 2026.
Is there a motion to approve?
So approved.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Beatrice and a second by Ms. Lee. Madam Clerk, on the vote, please.
Okay, Mr. Prisbalinski.
Aye.
Ms. Tillman.
Aye.
Mr. Beatrice.
Aye.
Mr. Dabney.
Aye.
Ms. Lee.
Aye.
Ms. Moldenauer.
Aye.
And Mr. Nelson.
Aye.
We have 7 in favor and no one opposed.
Thank you. The mayor's request has been approved, and congratulations to the reappointments to those boards. Madam Clerk, on the next one, please.
Mayor Angie is requesting the advice and consent of the Michigan City Common Council regarding her reappointment of Davis Bush of the Board of Cemetery Trustees, with his term beginning immediately and it expires January 1st, 2028.
Is there a motion to approve the advice and consent?
Motion to approve the advice and consent for Mr. Davis Bush. Support. To the Board of Cemetery Trustees.
We have a motion by Mr. Prisbalinski, and we have a second by Mr. Nelson. Madam Clerk, on the vote, please.
Ms. Tillman.
Aye.
Mr. Beatrice.
Aye.
Mr. Dabney.
Aye.
Ms. Lee.
Aye.
Ms. Moldenauer.
Aye.
Mr. Nelson.
Aye.
And Mr. Prisbalinski.
Aye.
We have 7 in favor and no one opposed.
Motion carries, and congratulations to Mr. Bush. We have now going down to our unfinished business. Madam Clerk, on nominations.
The council has one appointment to the Michigan City Tree Board representing the Neighborhood Association, incumbent Laura Henderson representing the Elston Grove Neighborhood Association, and her term expires February 15th, 2025.
Do we have any other nominations for these other than this one?
Ms. Henderson was in the clerk's office and they're calling a meeting to reappoint her to this, so we should have it by the next meeting.
Okay. Councilwoman, did you all hear that? Okay. Okay. So, yes. Okay, but we have to wait till they hold their meeting. Yes. If you would, please, with the next nomination, Madam Clerk.
The council has four appointments actually, to the Michigan City Social Status of African American Males Commission representing the following, and they expire February 15th, 2025. The human rights would be incumbent Pastor Carroll, a 2-year term. We have not received his letter as of yet. Swanson Center, Mr. Willie Millsap, a 2-year term. We have received his. Minority Health, Pastor Robert Johnson, he's a 2-year term, and we also have received that.
Okay, so for the human rights with Pastor Dennis Carroll, that needs to be done by the mayor for the reappointment. So we will anticipate that and we'll hold that over. That's an appointment by the mayor. So the next two, we have the Swanson Center for Willie Millsap, and we have the Minority Health, Pastor Robert Johnson. Since we have these two and it's for the same board, Attorney Stowe, can we go ahead and just vote on those two at this time?
Yes, I think that we discussed this one at the last meeting as well. And if this is not one that you'd typically solicit nominations for, you would just take appointments from the respective agencies that comprise it. I think you're okay to vote on them now.
Okay, due to that, these are the only two from their prospective entities that was appointed. Mrs. Beardry?
Are we waiting for a letter from the Human Rights Commission to recommend Dennis Carroll for African American? Because I have a copy of that.
Yes, we are.
Did you not get copies of this?
I don't have them. Oh,
The mayor is very busy and
this is for Dennis Carroll.
we just approved Mr. Carroll,
Pastor Carroll.
Pastor Carroll to go back on. So, human rights has to vote on.
We approved him for human rights. We just got a letter I have the letter from Human Rights recommended he serve on this social status, which is what you're waiting on, right?
Yes, I didn't receive this. I didn't have this.
Well, maybe we should give it to the clerk then,
Can I
because
provide
I think we should be able to
Madam
vote on all three of them tonight. Because we
Madam
have
Clerk.
that letter.
Excuse me.
I know you got that, but the term expired and it had to be renewed by the mayor.
Okay, it has to be renewed by the mayor.
Which you. Right now.
I'm confused.
So the human rights identifies who gets on the social status though,
Correct.
not me.
Right, but you appoint him to to human rights, and his term expired. And it had to come back to advice and consent of this council. So that's why.
Yeah, I swore him in. I had already sworn him in,
Okay.
just to be honest. He's been sworn in. I was waiting on it. Did it backwards is what it is. But Mr. Pastor Carroll is not he's not missing meetings. He
Oh, my
attends.
Yeah.
So I don't see why not. I mean, he actually signed his documents before today. So if y'all want to vote on him tonight, feel free. I think he's an awesome contributor to all of the boards that he's on. So, yeah, you voted already on him, so he's on there. So I
Perfect.
don't see why you
That's
can't.
perfect.
Good.
Okay, so for Human Rights, Pastor Dennis Carroll, Swanson Center, Mr. Willie Millsap, and Minority Health, Pastor Robert Johnson. Can we do it unanimous for all three, or do I have to do them individually?
I would move that we approve all three.
Is there a second?
Support.
There's a motion by Mr. Beatry and a second by Councilman Dabney that we approve all three. Madam Clerk on the vote.
Mr. Beatrice,
Aye.
Mr. Dabney,
Aye.
Miss Lee,
Aye.
Miss Moldenauer,
Aye.
Mr. Nelson,
Aye.
Mr. Preselinski,
Aye.
and Miss Tillman.
Aye.
We have 7 in favor and no one opposed.
Congratulations to Mr. Pastor Dennis Carroll, Mr. Millsap, and Pastor Johnson. Madam Clerk, on the next nomination, please.
The council has one appointment to the Michigan City Social Status of, oh, we did that one. No, we didn't. This council has one appointment to the Michigan City Social Status of African American Males Commission representing Michigan City resident and expires February 15th, 2025. The incumbent was Casey McCormick. We did not receive an application from him, but we did receive one from Mr. Willie Crump,
Laquita.
Ms. Cooper, and Ms. Damon Hopkins.
Okay. We will do this by, are there any nominations for Crump? This is for the social status. Is there any nominations for Cooper? Laquita Cooper? And we have one for a Damon Hopkins. Are there any nominations? I'll nominate. I'll nominate Laquita Cooper. Is there a second?
Second.
Madam Clerk, on the vote, please.
Since there's, is there any more nominations?
Are there any other nominations? There are none. Madam Clerk, on the vote, please. Or we
I-
carry this over.
Well, I think the formality would be that you would carry it over
Okay.
because you're supposed to accept
Good enough.
nominations now and vote at the next
Okay.
meeting. At a minimum, you would need a motion to, I guess you could move to suspend that rule and and move it along. It's your ordinance, but the way the process would generally work, I think, is that we do the nominations here and then vote on them next week.
I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules to do nominations on the social status on this evening. And this way, this can get those members to be able to attend to their next meeting.
You need a second?
Second.
Second.
There's a motion by Ms. Tillman and a second by Ms. Lee. All those in favor, Madam Clerk, on the vote, please.
Mr. Dabney,
Aye.
Miss Lee,
Aye.
Miss Moldenauer,
Aye.
Mr. Nelson,
Aye.
Mr. Preselinski,
Aye.
Miss Tillman,
Aye.
and Mr. Beatrice.
Aye.
We have 7 in favor and no one opposed.
So now that's to suspend the rules. So now you need a motion to confirm the nomination. Or the-
I'd like to make a motion to nominate Laquita Cooper.
Support.
We have a first by Ms. Tillman, a motion by Ms. Tillman and a second by Mr. Nelson. Madam Clerk, on the vote, please.
Miss Lee,
Do you want an I or her name? Or their name?
Aye.
Aye.
The I is sufficient, yeah, because there's only one.
Yes.
Miss Moldenauer,
Aye.
Mr. Nelson,
Aye.
Mr. Preselinski,
Aye.
Ms. Tillman,
Aye.
Mr. Beatrice,
Aye.
and Mr. Dabney.
Aye.
We have 7 in favor and no one opposed.
And congratulations to Ms. Cooper for being nominated to the Social Status of African American Males Commission. Madam Clerk, on the next nomination, please.
Nominations. The council has one appointment to the Veterans Commission, incumbent Connie Anderson, expired December 31st, 2024. And we have received a application from Danielle Corley.
Danielle Corley.
I'd like to nominate Danielle Corley.
Support.
We have a nomination for Danielle Corley, nomination by Mr. Beatrice and a second by Councilman Dabney. Due to that, are there any other nominations at this time? There are no other nominations at this time. Since this is only one nominations, then we will move forward with the vote. Madam Clerk, please, on the vote.
Ms. Moldenauer,
Point of order.
Oh, yeah, I have to suspend the rules. My apologies. Motion to suspend the rules to open nominations and to move forward. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Council President Tillman and second by Councilman Nelson. Madam Clerk, on the roll call vote.
Ms. Moldenauer,
Aye.
Mr. Nelson,
Aye.
Mr. Preselinski,
Aye.
Ms. Tillman,
Aye.
Mr. Beatrice,
Aye.
and Mr. Dabney.
Aye.
Ms. Lee,
Aye.
7 in favor and no one opposed. Now,
And now, is there a motion to accept nomination of Ms. Corley?
I recommend that we appoint Danielle Corley to the Veterans Commission.
Is there a second?
Support.
We have a motion by Mr. Beatrice and a support by Councilman Dabney. Madam Clerk, on the vote, please.
Mr. Nelson,
Aye.
Mr. Preselinski,
Aye.
Ms. Tillman,
Aye.
Mr. Beatrice,
Aye.
Mr. Dabney,
Aye.
Ms. Lee,
Aye.
and Ms. Moldenauer.
Aye.
We have 7 in favor and no one opposed.
Okay, and congratulations to Ms. Corley. Madam Clerk, on the next nomination.
The council has 2 appointments to the revolving loan fund committee, incumbent Pia Parrott and Erica Miller. Their terms were expired October 18th, 2024. We have Sherry Wilson, Scott Mellon, and Shauna Hill.
We will open up nominations for those 3 candidates. Is there any nominations for Wilson, Scott Meelan, or Shannon Hill at this time?
Yeah, Madam Chairman, I nominate Sherry Wilson for the revolving loan committee.
And Madam President, I recommend or nominate Scott Mellon.
Are there any nominations at this time? Any other nominations at this time? And this is for the revolving loan funds committee. If there are none, I'd like.
Yeah, Madam President, I have a question about being able to be nominated for the committee.
Mhm.
I know that one of the persons being nominated has to work for a business in Michigan City, and the other one, I believe, has to work in a financial institution in Michigan City. So I don't know if that's the qualifications for all 3, but I know that that's what the qualifications are, as far as I understand the requirements to be on this committee.
Okay, we do have, I believe one of the candidates is with the financials department with Town and Blank. Okay, and Mr. Scott Meelan, you are present. As far as business or financial status?
So if I may, Scott Melantura, Kenwood Place. I've always been an independent contractor, but I do in fact have a business in Michigan City. I'm a sole proprietor of Black Pearl Group LLC, domiciled here in Michigan City. I've been a landlord and private property owner for over 27 years. Counting all the properties I've had and the apartment, I have about 150 landlord years of experience being a landlord of multiple units in multiple states at the same time. In addition to that, I have privately financed, I believe, 8 properties for people where I have provided I've been the bank. I have financed I've made the lending decisions and loaned my own money for people who have had amortized loans. So and I've been a licensed realtor for 25 plus years, although I'm now what's now called referral, which means I can refer business to other realtors. I'm not an active realtor. Even when I was an active realtor, I mostly worked for myself, buying and selling properties on my own. I've owned more properties than most people have owned cars, for example. I don't know if this meets the qualifications, but my sole business is money related and assessing people's character and caliber if they will pay, in my case, me back the money I have lent them or the leases I have signed with them. And I'm proud to say that over my 27 years and 150 landlord years, I've only had one bad apple. I'm penny even with every single other person I've had. Quite a few of my tenants and neighbors have used me as a realtor to buy their properties. I feel I'm of a high caliber personally and ethically, and I know all about loans and getting people, making sure you're loaning money that will pay you back. So I'm not sure if that meets your qualifications, but I feel I'm eminently qualified to assist the city in assessing people's ability to receive our revolving loan fund. And I would very much appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mellon. So moving along with this, so what we will do, there are 2 nominations for Cherie Wilson and Mr. Scott Mellon. So I would like to make a motion to suspend the rules to do these today. Is there a second?
Support.
There's a motion by Ms. Tillman, a second by Mr. Nelson to suspend the rules to open the nominations. So with the 2, we will do a vote by from Madam Clerk to do a vote and to say, I'm sorry, to suspend the rules first. I'm moving a little ahead of myself.
Mr. Preselinski,
No.
Ms. Tillman,
Aye.
Mr. Beatrice,
Aye.
Mr. Dabney,
Aye.
Ms. Lee,
Aye.
Ms. Moldenauer,
I,
and Mr. Nelson.
Aye.
We have 6 in favor and 1 opposed.
Motion to suspend carries.
I think that I'm gonna look and see if it, sorry. Give me a minute, I'm gonna look and see
Okay.
if this just applies to ordinances, but I think that a motion to suspend the rules has to be unanimous. I think. Did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
with
All right.
2/3.
There you go. Okay, so you have 2/3. If that's
Mhm.
what you have 2/3.
It
Okay.
is.
Madam President?
Councilman Prisbalinski?
Yeah, if I may. And I heard what Mr. Mellon said and his professional background. But still, it says here, a senior level professional loan officer, and 1 member is from a business or retail and is a resident of Michigan City. So what I'm gonna ask is possibly we table this and let our attorney check it out to see if the qualifications meet what the criteria is here for the council appointments.
Attorney Snow, then I would reply to this by saying, 1, are we challenging the credentials if they're meeting the criterias to apply for this board? Secondly, are we going to request supporting documentations from the applicants, which would then apply to all applicants, not the application that they give us, but information supporting their businesses or their professional degrees to be a loan officer and things of that nature?
I think, sorry. I think that this is a situation where, to be honest, you voted to suspend your rules. So, conceivably by a motion and a vote, you could approve your nominees. I think that you don't, if you appoint someone to a board who's not qualified to be on that board, then obviously you create the opportunity for somebody to contest that. And then you go through that, that process and kind of get called out for doing that. As I sit here today, I couldn't tell you exactly what the criteria are or whether what Mr. Mellon said today meets that or not. So for me to give you an opinion, I would need some time. I think that, that time is kind of built into the ordinance, and that might be why. I think as far as seeking documentation and all of that, I think that the ordinance requires that they submit a form. So in order to get them to this point and say, we've accepted your nomination, he does have a form in, he has a statement of support. So he meets the criteria as far as receiving a nomination. I think how much you educate yourself before you vote on a nomination and appoint someone is kind of individual to each member of the council. So I think it's that's a long way of saying I think it's up to you how you want to proceed. But I can't give you an opinion today whether or not what he stated technically complies with the requirements or not, because I'm not familiar enough with the requirements.
Okay, thank you, Attorney Snow.
Okay.
Councilman
It's
Dabney?
something that's researchable, obviously, but
Right.
I don't know today.
Okay. Councilman Dabney?
Yeah, what I was about to say is, I mean, I wouldn't mind honoring Councilman Pervalinsky's request, because we just had an instance where we had people put onto the UEZ, and they had to be taken off because we found out later that there were qualifications that they did not meet. So I would not mind tabling this and getting it taken care of the correct way. So when we come back, we have a clean slate and we put people on there. We're not worried whether or not they're actually eligible or not.
Is that a motion? Are you making a motion to table this to the next council meeting to obtain this information?
Did you make a motion?
Yeah.
He made the motion, right?
Yes, I did make a motion.
Is there a second?
Support. Yeah.
There's a motion by Councilman Przybylski and a second by Councilman Nelson to table this until the next council meeting in order to obtain additional information regarding the criteria to fulfill this position.
And just to clarify, the procedural effect of the tabling will be that you have accepted the nomination today and you're prepared to vote on that nomination next week.
Yes.
That's the effect of that.
Yes.
Practically. Okay.
Yes. Okay, so that brings us to
We have to vote.
Vote on table.
Madam Clerk.
The vote. I mean, yeah.
Yes.
To table it. Ms. Tillman,
Aye.
Mr. Beatrice,
Aye.
Mr. Dabney,
Aye.
Ms. Lee,
Aye.
Ms. Moldenauer,
Aye.
Mr. Nelson,
Aye.
and Mr. Przybylski.
Aye.
We have 7 in favor and no one opposed.
We are now moving on, opening up comments from the public.
Good evening again. I didn't make it to department head comments, so I did want to read the correspondence that I sent to you all about the supplemental monies owed by the state to Michigan City. Dear council, thank you.
Yes.
Last month, I was notified by Senator Rodney Pohl, that Michigan City was owed supplemental monies from the state comptroller by virtue of Indiana Code 4-33-13-5.3. Back in 2019, this Indiana code was enacted which authorized the state comptroller to provide certain supplemental payments to the riverboat communities of East Chicago, Hammond, and Michigan City, essentially as a way of compensating them for any financial losses as a condition of allowing the Hard Rock Casino in Gary, Indiana to open. Michigan City is owed approximately $5.7 million in supplemental funds from the state comptroller as a result. The state comptroller simply did not pay East Chicago and Michigan City any of the supplemental monies due and owing to them since the enactment of that code. However, currently in this legislative session, as a matter of fact, tomorrow, there have been bills being proposed from the extreme of repealing it. So Michigan City would lose out on the $5.7 million, and I attached that bill to devising a plan on the repayment of the monies owed to Michigan City and East Chicago over the next few years by deducting amounts payable to Gary. And that's House Bill 1448. I included that. The purpose of this letter is to inform you of the situation. I am currently, at the time I sent this letter, I was researching the possibility of retaining a lobbyist for the city for this legislative session to ensure that the financial interests of Michigan City are protected. I will keep you updated on this matter as progress unfolds. I did meet with several firms. We've identified a firm that to represent us in this session. I think it's important. What I shared with him over the weekend is that I understand the House bill, but what I would really like to see is us get all our money now, because I feel like we're, that interest that has been lost over the last several years. And, what that bill, it's going to be in committee tomorrow. What it does is cements the fact that we're going to get our money, but we will get it over the next 3 years versus getting it all this year. What I would like to see is that we get our money now and that the state works out a deal with Gary to figure out how they're going to give the money back over a longer period of time. They've already budgeted this money for this year. So it's an undue burden for them. So I don't want this to be a this and them, us against them, because that's what the media tried to do. And I'll say, listen, this is a state issue. I'm going to work with the state legislature. Also note that they identified this last year. I have never received anything from the state. They've never reached out to me, to the office, to notify us of any such thing. I knew about it, but it was only until a legislator from Indianapolis sends out a press release to the whole state about this that I started getting phone calls. We were already working through it. But again, this is where we're at. It's going to cost us a little bit of money for the lobbyists, but with all these bills that are impacting us, I think it's well worth it because it's going to protect money. My thought is that this money goes into the rainy day fund as we get it. Hopefully we can get it all this year, but if not, that's where I would like for it to go as we move forward. So I'll keep you up to date. I know that the committee meeting is tomorrow. As soon as I get any information, I'll let you all know. Oh, and I may come back for an appropriation for the lobbyist.
Okay.
Maybe. I just thought I better let y'all know, but because this is a long session and they're not cheap, but to protect our 5.7 million and our classification for our city and our taxes, it'll be well worth it. So.
Agreed. Are there anyone else from the public?
Yes, Tommy Kolovic, 1316 Ohio Street. Now, getting back to the Commission for the Veterans, I mentioned this last week that, that they don't receive any compensation for their services. I know you kind of shook your heads at me. This is under Section 2-460 of the Michigan City Municipal Code, Commission for Veterans. This is under subsection B, Article 3, compensation. All members shall serve without compensation. I think these are our veterans. If we're gonna have this commission, I think we should at least pay them the minimum of $50 for every time they meet. And I think these commissions, we shouldn't just have commissions, just have a commission. They should at least meet on a quarterly basis. I know the Commission on the Michigan City Social Status of American Males, they all get a $50 stipend. They're required to meet quarterly. I think if these commissions don't meet at least on a quarterly basis, you do have the authority to repeal these ordinances that establish these boards and commissions, like the Youth Service Commission. You establish that. They've never even had the people you have listed on the website. They're no longer youth anymore. They're all grown adults and all starting their own families now. It's just my thoughts on that. I got a couple public service announcements to make. This is just posted on the My Michigan City Facebook page. Civic engagement leads to a thriving community. If you're looking for a way to get more involved, consider joining many of the boards and commissions that keep Michigan City running. Stop by the mayor's office and apply for a mayoral appointed position, or the clerk's office to apply for a common council appointed position. It's very rewarding to serve on a board and commission. I was on the Fire Merit Commission for 15 months. I'm going to try to get back on. I know that you can apply for several positions of the county. I know right now I watched your solid waste board meeting, and they said they're looking for a member for the Citizens Advisory Board for the solid waste district. And to kind of like put my hat, Mayor Angie said she'd like to get somebody from the refuse department on that. One more thing, I think this is it's really exciting. This Friday coming, it's going to be LaPorte versus Michigan City, our big cross-county rival. We're going to be honoring some of our mid-90s Elson champs for both boys and girls. Join us for a huge night of basketball and some special memories. Feel free to share and invite people from those teams. We'll honor them at halftime. So other than that, I just want to say stay warm, everybody, and be safe and be good. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kolavic. Last call for public comment.
Goody. Scott Mellon, Chair on Kevin Place. First of all, I'd like to thank Mr. Petrie for nominating me for the revolving loan fund. I really appreciate that. I'd like to speak, but before I get to that, though, I'm going to bring up a refuse question, our favorite subject. My neighbor has thrown his Christmas tree out at the curb. Unfortunately, his property line kind of abuts my driveway. So for the last 3 weeks, I've had this Christmas tree lying there. And I'm just wondering what the plan is for those type of things. I actually don't know what our refuse plan is for things like Christmas trees. I don't know if he missed a pickup or whatever, but I'm tired of driving by his darn Christmas tree. Pardon me. Regarding the revolving loan fund, I own my own business and I make my own financial decisions. I'm, by definition, a senior loan officer, and I'm risking my own capital, not somebody else's. There's not a higher risk out there than lending out your own money. In addition to being a realtor, I was also a mortgage broker for a number of years. I really do understand loans and lending and credit worthiness. It is the world I live in. And frankly, I'm good at what I do, which is why I have so much free time to attend all these public meetings. Quite honestly, that is what I do. And that's what allowed me the time to become more civically engaged and try to learn more about our city. And I'd be thrilled to be able to assist it in any way. But by definition, I'm a senior loan officer. I make the final decisions on lending money, and it's my money. There's no higher risk. Thank you. And the ordinance, as far as I know, only says a senior loan officer. It's not defined beyond that sentence. And by definition, I meet that criteria. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mellon. Public comments are now.
I had a meeting with refuse today, so we talked about Christmas items. Couple of things. So with the boards and commissions, we spend over $100,000+ in paying boards and commissions. We have more boards and commissions than cities our size. And a lot of those cities don't pay their boards and commissions. We decided to go down that road I don't know how many years ago with, we have statutory boards and commissions that are required by state statute. And then we have all these boards and commissions that we've created through the council. And so, I don't know, election time, I don't know, but we pay everybody now. We do. Even the ones that aren't required through state statute. So we have a significant budget for boards and commissions so that people know from the public. The Veterans Commission has been inactive for some time now. So I can see if they want to be revitalized, but in the meantime, I just been paying for whatever events that are going on. I just been paying for it myself. So that's why I said I'm just going to have a mayor's veterans group and not even worry about the council one, the one that's been created, because they haven't been meeting. As far as refuse, trash is supposed to be in the garbage bins. These Christmas trees, you know, that they're putting out and all of that, I told them to go get the stuff for now, you know, because we have a mailer going out in the next water bill that talks about just that. What goes in the garbage can, that stuff shouldn't be out on the ground. So we have a front and back page that talks about how you should put your garbage can out, what time you should put your garbage can out, all those different things. So I think it's just a re-education. The goal is to have something in every single water bill, and then we're printing 2,000 extra so that when we have these town halls, the churches, that we can give them flyers. The next bill will have spring cleanup, compost, and fees on it. So the goal is every single month there will be something in the water bill around refuse and pickup and all of that, so that people know. But we do have one in the next water bill, and then the one after that will be compost and spring cleanup and fees. So we'll continue to do that every single month this year, putting some type of information, especially around garbage, because talking to the group today, I had them in for lunch today because they couldn't really go out and pick up, so I had them come to City Hall. And I asked them, what are the issues that you're running into? What are you seeing? And they brought up Christmas trees, and we're still picking up, Christmas trees from weeks ago, and people are still not putting things out, and so they had questions about how we're going to enforce. And I just asked them, give me your recommendations. Tell me anything you want to say. Say it now. This is a safe space. So I took all the notes today, and that's what I want them to know is we got to educate and communicate. We can't start charging people until they got to hear it multiple times. So this will be, ongoing through the month of April, specifically around the new ordinance. Just making sure they get pieces of it every single month, and that we put, little hints and reminders out about garbage. But they're not supposed to have garbage laying on the ground. It's supposed to be in their cans. We're not going to pick up building materials. We're not going to do clean outs. That's just a given. But we want to make sure that they understand it. So we're not just going to start charging people. And I think people thought January 1st that was going to happen. So everybody threw all their stuff out. We even talked about spring cleanup. Whenever it's their week, they have to have everything out by Sunday for us to pick up. We're not going to make back and forth trips. We're making one trip. So if it's not out by Sunday, we're not going to go back and forth. I think that's the expectation, is that we're just going to circle and ride around all day and pick up the trash and keep doing that. We just got to create a process and make sure people understand it. And that's going to take a few months. But the bills will have something in them each month. And I told them, just go pick up that stuff. If they see it out there, just go get it. So hopefully that will happen soon.
Thank you, Mayor. That is the closing of public comments. Now we are opening up comments by the council, and I just have one thing, and that is just, as most of you all know, that the garbage pickup was suspended for today, January 21st, because of the sub-zero temps. They will run their routes into Saturday if necessary, and if you don't get picked up on your normal collection days this week, no need to give them a call. Just leave your trash out, and they will get to it this week. Councilman Beardry?
I'm glad the mayor is still here, because when we got that letter from Senator Paul, that really aggravates me because I'm not angry with Gary. They have nothing to do with this. This is a state employee of the state of Indiana who was given a job to do and knew that job, knew it should have been done, and chose not to do it. So I hope that this lobbyist is an attorney as well, because if you're an elected official and you don't do your job, there's a writ of mandamus that requires that you do that job. And somebody should go into her office, give her a writ of mandamus and say, cut a check for $5,700,000 and send it to Michigan City right now. I don't have any patience for the state of Indiana. They take enough of my money and don't give me services. So I know you're going to be tough with these people, and I encourage you to do that. Second thing, and then I'll be done. I know we all got a copy from Frank Giglio, who's a former trustee of Grand Beach, about trailers, trucks that are circumventing way stations on I-94 by getting out in Chesterton and not getting back in until they get to New Buffalo. And the result of that is tons and tons of these huge semis coming through Highway 12 and Highway 20. He's saying, help me do something about that. I don't know what we can do as a city council, but I'm in favor of that. We should try to force these semis to stay on 94 instead of jumping out and riding on our city streets, basically Highway 12 and 20. So I don't know what to do about it, but I'm willing to listen to somebody who does. And if it means a resolution or something, I'd be in favor of that. And I'm done. Thank you.
Before I call on you, Councilman Dabney, just to add on to that comment from Mr. Beardsley. I have even noticed where we have 18-wheelers, not because they're doing local deliveries, but 18-wheelers that comes down Michigan Boulevard. I have comprised the list of those 18-wheelers, names of their business, of their logos. And there is a weight ordinance too to prohibit them from coming down our city streets. And that may be something that we can discuss also with the traffic division. Councilman Dabney.
Yes, Mr. Beardsley talked about the state comptroller and the job that they're not doing, and I'm glad you beat me to it because you were a lot less rowdy than I was going to be talking about it, and so I'm not going to piggyback on that because you made the point. So on a positive note, I hope people have seen the cabling that is now open down at Eastgate Plaza. And so I'm trying to keep this where I'm smiling because I was really about to go in on that state comptroller. But you know, I'm glad you brought it up because it is something big. I'm glad the mayor brought it up as well. And I'm extremely concerned about some of the things that are happening with the state of Indiana right now. I visited East Chicago. I used to work over in East Chicago, the school system, and I went over and talked to some people there. And they were showing me an ordinance that's going to be coming up, talking about privatizing all of the schools in the city of Gary, making them all charter schools, and they will no longer have public schools there. And that concerns me because I can see the areas that are going to be focused upon for this to happen. And a lot of times these schools don't have services for special ed kids. And it is mind-boggling to me. And I'm upset even before it's happening because it's going to happen. I see it's going to happen. They have super majorities to vote these things in. And I wrote in an email response today. I said, this is going to be sad days are coming for us. And we better be ready to fight in the state of Indiana for some of the things that I could see coming down the pipe because it can get ugly in a hurry. So I try to be positive, but I had to go back and talk about some of the things that are really bothering me. So I'm going to leave it there for now. But as these things come out, I'm sure there's going to be more discussion of things coming up with the state of Indiana. And thank you, Mayor, for pointing these things out to us and giving us that information so that we know what is going on. Thank you.
Councilman Frisbelinsky.
Yeah, thank you, Madam President. And one thing that I want to bring up this evening, and it hasn't been brought up yet, and it hasn't made it out to the news wires yet, I don't think, but the mayor's made us aware of it, that our state senator, not our state senator, but State Senator Mike Bohacek has a Senate bill in the Senate right now. Let me bring it up here real fast because I want to read it to everybody so that the public knows what he's trying to do to the city of Michigan City, although he doesn't represent Michigan City. All right, it's Senate Bill 436, which is a conversion to a Class 3 city. So it provides that if the population of a second-class city is reported by 2 consecutive federal census as having a population of less than 31,500, the city becomes a third-class city on January 1st of the calendar year following the next municipal election held after the most recent census, or 2 calendar years following the second municipal census. So basically, what he's trying to do is turn Michigan City from a second class to a third class city. And that would, if it's passed by the supermajority, that would take place in 2027. So what I understand about this process is that for Michigan City, I believe the mayor would be running the council meetings, and there would be 2 less city council people on the council. There would be 7 instead of 9. And then instead of having city controller, we'd have a clerk/treasurer. But beyond that, that's all I know about what the circumstances there'd be. But I don't know what kind of financial circumstances that would be, or any type of federal funding that would mean, because you're a third class instead of a second class. And I think, and the other thing, and I was informed that he did not bring any of this information to the city of Michigan City before he decided to put this bill together in the State House. And State Representative Pat Boyd, speaking to her yesterday at the Martin Luther King program at PNW, she told me that he's already introduced this bill and talked about it at the not congressional, but the Senate breakfast, whatever kind of breakfast they have down there to get together, organizational breakfast, maybe that's what you call it. And so he's hot to trot to get this thing passed. And what I'm going to suggest, Madam President, is that so that all the council members can learn, so that the public can hear from him, is that you direct the city, or not the city attorney, but the council attorney, to draft a letter to have him appear at the next council meeting so he can explain why he's doing this, what the purpose is, and what the circumstances are to Michigan City for the future of Michigan City. When I heard of this, when the mayor sent this out to all of us, I was just dismayed at what is this all about? There's not bigger issues in the city of Michigan City or the state of Indiana than worrying about making, well, I believe it was what? There's 2 other cities, right? Hammond, East Chicago?
Yeah, East Chicago.
That he's throwing into the basket to try to make third-class cities out of them. So I just wanted to pass that information on so that the city knows and the public knows what's going on there. And the other thing, Councilman Dabney mentioned it, and I took the opportunity because I saw the article in the paper, and I actually saw the sign out in front of Cablin's about a month ago. We were going out, I don't know, somewhere on the east side, and I thought that was wonderful. I thought it was just wonderful that Cablin's, I mean, with a family like that, with a business family, their reputation in the community would take the chance, or not the chance, but take their money and invest it on the east side in that shopping center. And so I took a walk in there Sunday afternoon and I met the two clerks that were working, thanked them for what they did for coming over here. And, you know, of course, we know it's not as big as the store on the south side, but there are a lot of items in there. And they said come springtime, they'll be expanding their garden section. So, yeah, I thought that was, that's great news for Michigan City and for the east side of town. With that being said, I'm trying to keep my cool on House Bill 436 or whatever it was. And, yeah,
And
thank you.
thank you, Councilman Prisbalinski. And in regards to that bill, and for some council members, including myself, I have already sent a letter to Senator Bohacek in regards to this, addressing my concerns of how this will affect the city of Michigan City as a whole regarding our financials, regarding the city, the people in the city, especially reducing the wards down. So if you haven't done so already too, I concur. Please make sure that you reach out, or we can do a letter as a whole as well.
Yeah.
Just to address it.
Yeah, Madam President, if you're looking for my opinion, I concur wholeheartedly that we send out a letter as a city council and have all the council members sign it. And whether the city attorney drafts it or whether our council attorney drafts it, you know, get it out here maybe sooner than later. Because I don't know what's going on down in Indianapolis with these. I don't know how the whole process works down there. So,
And okay, we can get that done, taken care of. So there are no further comments by the council. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Supported. Have a good evening.